welcome you. Bridging Civil Tension.
All right. You guys have a
All right,
good
you
chat.
out? Thanks, brother.
I got grandbabies showing up, and April's being a lot of pain in her hip. So
Yeah, take care of that.
her surgery's on Thursday.
Prayers.
All right. Well, everybody now knows because we're live on social media, so we're all praying for you.
Thanks.
First show, coach. That's great. First one with real mics today, anyway. That's it. Yes, here we go. And we figured out what our issue was from Bridging Civil Tension. We've got 21.6 net. This music means one thing, Bridging Civil Tension. Woo. Or did I say? Oh, grounds. I don't even know. Today is just a whack day. The metaverse is screwing with me. Welcome into Bridging Civil Tension. He's Phil Wallace, author, entrepreneur, coach, mentor, manager, just all around good guy. And of course, I'm Ken.
The stud.
Yeah.
Man of the hour. The legend.
The old floopy old white guy of the show. That's it. Of course, Bridging Civil Tension brought to you through our good friends over at Restoration One, 847-264-4664. Water, mold, fire, smoke, whatever. If you've got it in your house, you need to get the scene clean.
Right.
Call Christine over at Restoration One, 847-264-4664. Yeah, there you go. So Bridging Civil Tension, we feel we're gonna attack some things. We're gonna make some people uncomfortable because that's what happens in the world. But we prefer building a bridge,
right,
and instead of blowing it up.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Burn the boats, not the bridge.
Yeah, there we go.
So last week we talked a little bit about our good friend Brittany Griner.
Yeah.
And Brittany, our prayers and thoughts are with you. You just said as you were coming in this morning, there's an update.
As of Wednesday, they were talking about how she's missing. I don't see how you misplace
Well, we roll that mic a little bit so it's a little bit more front. You can jack it up too, so you don't have to lean over. If you adjust that nozzle right there, you can pull it up higher. So, come on, you can do it.
Okay,
little office hands there. Or something.
There we go. These big Shrek hands.
There you go. so now you said that.
Right.
What went through your mind the first time when you heard that? When you read it or heard it, like, oh.
Mine was really like, how do you lose someone who's incarcerated? Like, how do you lose someone that's locked up? Then how do you lose someone who's a celebrity? Like a professional athlete. And
we're not talking a Sylvester Stallone 5'6".
No, she's
celebrity who can get lost in a crowd.
She's 6'9",
right.
6'8". And she's known. I mean, she's played over there for 5 years, so she's got a people know her.
Yeah,
right? They recognize the face, everything like that. She's professional. And it wasn't even like it happened after, like before there was a leak that she was incarcerated. This is, people know that she's locked up. Then people want to know where she is. And now that they want to know where she is, you guys can't find her. You guys misplaced her. She's not car keys. This is a person. It's like, oh, where did I leave her?
See, now when you told me that, the first thing that I went through my mind was we had a special ops team go in and get her out. That's what went through my mind. Is like, oh, we went and got her. Of course, we got to say that she's missing.
Okay.
So because of all the tension and everything over in Russia, that's where my mind went. Like, oh, we special opt her out of there.
I would love that thought.
Right.
I think that's fantastic. Some 007 type stuff and rescue our own. I just historically.
Oh, historically, yeah. That's why I say, where did your mind go? And yeah, I see that too. You're like, well, It ain't like she just walked out of there.
Yeah,
at 6
and I
foot
mean,
8.
like there's so much, you know, and especially in the comedy world, like where they talk about, you know, America does not negotiate for like black hostages. Like it's just not.
Right.
We've got 5 black. Hello.
I'm going into a tunnel.
Chappelle did it. He's like, we got 5 black. Hello.
So, you know, I don't know if you caught Anything Goes with Bremer and Jones. We had JT Newton on, right?
Okay.
And JT Newton is the man who discovered Dave Chappelle.
What?
We'll get him on. He'll be on Bridging Civil Tension in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
He's hilarious. He's absolutely a blast. I'm going to send him some
you.
information. Yeah,
Thank you, JT.
Yeah. And we'll have him on it. He's great. I was like, oh, you need to come on, because at one point, living here in McHenry, he was like, you know, when I would go out to get my mail.
Oh, he's here.
He lives in McHenry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he has some stories too. He has some
I'm
stories. I'm like, oh, we need to talk. Yeah. But he, you know, they'll tell you about going out and getting the mail. People just
there's an event, and there's a I'll say an artist in Crystal Lake. I'll say it that way. And we were doing a LGMC event, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna go to DC Cobbs and McHenry, and you just watch his face go, McHenry?
Yeah.
And then we get there, he's like, man, I don't be on here like that. It's like, yeah.
Very, but he was great, and we'll get JT on this show. Just because it's you know, he's retired, so now it's not a 35, 36-year-old, you know,
right.
African American view. This is a, you know, guy who's in his 60s, retired view. Right, so he's seen some things you haven't as well, and probably some things you have as well.
Yeah.
Right? So it'll be fun to get him on. He'll be on in a couple weeks, and he'll tell the story about how he found Dave. Before you leave, I'll show you a clip.
Yeah, let me see that one.
But yeah, so my hope, right, and again, I'm wired to say, hey, I'm wired to say, everybody's happy, everybody's good. Okay. So I go right to we went in and got her. You know, special ops. Now we're good to go.
Right. I mean, again, I think that I hope. Right.
Yeah.
I hope that's the case. I hope that she's somewhere safe with her family and enjoying things, and that we did what we could have done and should have done.
Right. We had to get her out, though, and the reason we're saying nobody knows where she's at is one of two things. Maybe we did that, or they moved her. You know.
Right.
Who knows? I don't know. Hopefully she's
prayers and thoughts.
Yeah. Hopefully she's safe, and hopefully she's safe. Now, the title for today, of course, is the title for today, of course, is like, what kind of world do we live in? Right. Shayna says, and good morning, Shayna. We figured out the microphones. Thanks for coming back. I literally just watched the hostage bit and was laughing hard, and then worried if it was okay for me to find it so funny.
Have you seen it?
I have.
Chappelle did an awesome job with that, but he's like, that's just what it is. We don't see that as passionately. So I love the fact that he takes reality and makes it so funny to people.
Now here's the deal. Yes, laugh, because that's what comedy is.
Yeah, comedy's supposed to do that.
That is what you absolutely are supposed to laugh at that. And that's why we talked to JT about that, because he's a stand-up comic, and he does a lot of stuff over at the Hidden Pearl, bringing comedians in. But the idea is, that's what he said. He goes, comedy is to make you laugh. And the best comedy is the stuff that makes you uncomfortable. Right. So you can't be afraid to hurt somebody's feelings or whatever, because it's comedy.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's so funny. She says,
but he wasn't wrong.
But he wasn't
and
wrong.
That's the part. Like, you got to give the message that makes people think, but also laugh.
That's
enjoy it.
Edutainment. That's what we call it here. Edutainment. Got to educate and entertain. So we do.
I like that.
So we missed. I mean, a lot of things happen, and just because of schedules and things like that, during the Olympics, we weren't able to jump on and discuss this topic. But for those of you who don't know, the Winter Olympics were just held, and there was a 15-year-old ice dancer, ice skater, whatever, from Russia, who tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs.
Right.
That and
Camila Vilova.
yes, and the Olympic Committee said, well, we'll let her skate.
Right.
And then you brought up
Sha'Carri
Richardson, who is a sprinter,
right?
I believe, not a long distance. I think she was a sprinter.
Yeah, she's a sprinter.
And this was in the Summer Olympics where she tested for THC.
Right. She smoked weed after her mom died.
Right. Her
and
mom
it was legal
passed.
in that state.
Right.
So,
but not legal for Olympics.
Right.
And you said what to that?
Well, there was the post that she brought up, like, how is she allowed to participate? How is she allowed to compete, but I wasn't? Because I believe the drug of the ice skater was illegal in the state and illegal to compete.
Yeah.
Sha'Carri's was legal in the state, but I guess illegal to compete. But Sha'Carri, who's not allowed to compete, but then this person is.
Yeah. And Sha'Carri, she was ranked where?
I think she was number 1. I think in sprinting.
So in sprinting, she was
blowing people out.
The lead dog, right?
Yeah, she was blowing people out.
Yeah. Hey, Alex, good morning. How are you? Hold on, Russia cheated. Norway. All right. Jessica says, JT is family friend, pivotal person in my life. Grew up with him. Totally forgot he was the only black person in my life, but I never saw him as black. I never even thought about he was just an amazing, inspiring, energetic person that I felt I could go to with anything. And his wife, of course. But it relates, since I said when I was on the show, it never came to mind because I never saw him as different. Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's family. Right. Family's family. That's what it is.
I don't know. You guys are family. You guys are family.
Right.
So if we go to Red Barn in Woodstock.
That's right. Well, we've been there for hockey. All right.
What?
Yeah, I got pictures. You and I were there during the Blackhawks playoffs.
Oh, yeah. That was
me, you, and Adam Harville, and a bunch of Vision people.
Man.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys want me to meet where?
Mm-hmm.
Can we do Firebar where it's safe and central?
So the 15-year-old girl was not tabbed probably to even do well anyway, right? She made it there, but I don't think she was the odds-on favorite. Right. So again, now we go to a committee. Who's the committee made up of? People from all over countries, but what is the
right? You'll be tried by a jury of your peers.
Right. I will say what everybody else is thinking. Very different. I mean, Russia was very volatile over there, and we were just teetering. So we better not do anything maybe to upset Putin, right? During the Winter Olympics. So maybe this is his niece or something. We're not sure. So let's just let her through. Right. So that's what I'm telling you. People who are listening out there are going to go that direction and say it was political and not racial.
Okay. That's impressive.
Right. But they're out there.
There's because we can't say race. It's not about race until Whoopi says it, and then it should have been about race. Anyway,
I don't like Whoopi anyway.
I'm with you.
I never did.
But we had the conversation.
Even in Sister Nun or whatever she was there.
It's always not about racism until Whoopi says it's not about racism. Then it should have been about racism.
Gary, good morning. Good morning. Missed the grounds because I was on a chat call. Yeah, no, you didn't, because the microphones didn't work. It did on 216thenet.com, but not on social media. You didn't miss much.
But okay, so then this is where I get confused on the standard because
Sister Act, thank you.
Right. Because remember when we were talking about Brittany Griner last week, and the first comment was, well, was it illegal?
Correct.
Then she knew better.
Correct.
And that was the quick decision for Brittany Griner.
Correct.
Was it legal? Cool. Then she's getting consequences. So not even racial.
Correct.
Was it legal?
Correct.
Then there's consequences.
Correct.
That didn't happen. In the same place that a person is going to get 10 years for a vape pen.
Correct.
In that same country, this individual's being illegal, Still allowed to compete.
Well, communism is a weird thing, and she's
Still
representing, right?
still
So we're
allowed
going to
to
put her on a
compete.
pedestal. So, I mean, that's one thing, right? The other thing that was out there very loudly is this. She's just 15. She didn't know.
Man.
She didn't know that was going into her body. She might have thought it was vitamin C. We don't know.
Right.
At 15-year-old, you're not putting steroids into your body. But the sprinter, she smoked it. She knew exactly what she was doing. She knew that it was a banned substance.
Shayna, real quick, go to Chappelle's bit about being tried at 15 and then come back and join. That's the part where Chappelle's like 15 because he's talking about the girl who was kidnapped and she was too young to know how to escape. And he goes, but then here's 15 again when it's a 15-year-old black kid in Florida. They tried him like an adult, killed his best friend doing moves he saw in WWE. They arrested him for the pile driver.
Ooh, I've been piled.
And at some point, bro, that's where he was talking about. Over here, it's always innocent for 15. Always
Sale
here, it's always convicted at 15.
Sale says, who gave it to her? Obviously, hopefully we're talking about the Russian skater. It was her quote unquote coach or trainer or whatever, right?
Right.
Yeah. Probably a big hairy woman with a mustache. I don't know.
You're terrible. That's real.
Let's be real. It's the Winter Olympic. Nobody watches that. They are more loose. See, no politics. Yeah. The coach knew. Yeah. Right. So the idea, I guess I would say is, and I really wanted to, and life just got in my way. I wanted to see who else was banned for what. Right?
Okay.
Because we know Michael Phelps too burned.
Right.
I don't know if it was during.
Well, he posted he smoked after he had the medals.
Right.
So at that point, you can't really do anything after he's got the medals.
Right. But again, here's the most decorated Olympic athlete ever smoked the same stuff that
Sha'Carri Richardson smoked.
Right.
And it's funny when he does it. And how dare her.
Right.
When she does it.
Right.
He's not 15.
And he was the best in the world at the time. And so was she. So you got
and it wasn't Winter Olympics.
Right.
And this is where we're saying at what point can we just stay in place?
Where does that balance?
Can we just stay in place and just stop trying to slip around all these reasons and justification? Like just
right.
Call it what it is.
Yeah. We don't really care about the Winter Olympics. We're on the equator. Cool runnings.
Right.
Absolutely. That rules out the deeker. Yeah. The deeker. That's right. Yeah. So at some point, the scales of justice have to balance out. Right. And not be unbalanced, if that makes sense. Right. Now, we'll say, well, it's a court of law. But at the same time, is it? Because look what happened. And again, I said the same thing. Listen, I enjoy a good ice dance. Alice and I, I mean, to watch these people fling each other around with razor sharp blades on their feet is amazing to me. Right. I can't even stand up on skates. So these athletes to me are like, oh my God.
It's impressive.
And they're beautiful at it. And they're not breathing hard. And then you see them sit in the ice box afterwards as they're waiting for their scores, and they can't even breathe. I mean, these people,
right?
And it to me, it's amazing. But I said that I'm like, well, she's done. She's out. And it didn't cross my mind about
Sha'Carri Richardson.
Sha'Carri. But I said, when they said she's allowed, I go, it's because of political BS, and they're afraid of Putin, right? Because things were starting to bubble up there, and I'm like, that's crap. And then you shared that with me. I'm like, I didn't even think of that, right? Like, wait a minute,
because I mean, Sha'Carri posted, and she's like, what's the difference,
right?
Why is she allowed to compete and I'm not? And then you have to come up with the response,
right?
Haven't seen one that made sense.
Yeah, don't poke holes in my Winter Olympics theory. How dare you? And Gary says, we control the drug problem here by taking out the supplier. through a loop in a rope. Hello. There's a death penalty. If you a dealer, there's a death penalty.
But how do you? Never mind. I can't say that. Well, I can say that.
You can. It's your show.
I'll say it this way. There are people who believe that the biggest dealers are tied to the government in some way, shape, or form. So how do you put a noose? They would say, not me, they would say, how do you put a noose around the CIA? You can't. So that's could possibly be the difference. Unless a governmental party is supplying, people believe, other individuals believe that it is a governmental party that historically supplied into the inner cities. So then how do you do that?
That is a good question. I'm just going to bring this up. You'll see me holding in my hand. If not, you're on the radio. This is Kay's Custom Roasts. Kay's Custom Roast. It's a local roaster here. This is Kay's signature blend, dark ground. Absolutely some of the best coffee that I've ever put in my mouth. That is absolutely fantastic. If you are local to the area, or look up Kay's Customs, Kay's Custom Roasts. Kay's Custom Roasts. Absolutely.
You say dark ground or dark brown?
Dark ground.
Okay.
It is dark brown. Alex, let's see what he says here. Remember what happened a few years ago with the Russian-Canadian scandal during the Olympics? The committee was paid off and threatened. There was a whole Netflix documentary on it. I'm sure there was something similar here. Could be, right? Yeah, I didn't think of that either. But again, here's what I always say, Alex, is question everything you hear, but listen to what's being said. Okay? So we can question that, absolutely. And thank you. There it is. There's the website right there, kscustomroasts.com. K's Custom Roasts. That's KS Custom Roasts with an S, 2 roasts.com. So listen to what's being said. Right? Is this. I've got to question why this girl was allowed to, this cute little white Russian girl was allowed to skate. But listen to what's being said means this cute little white girl was allowed to skate, and this cute, beautiful black woman was not allowed to run.
Right.
That's what's being said. Right. And there's several of us who have pink colored skin who will lead the direction and say, well, it's political. There's some things going on. Some people got paid off and we're not listening to what's being said. If that makes sense.
Right. I just
right.
Pink skin. Right. And I think when it's so quick to be, it's not political or it is the Russian thing, like you're not hearing, no. This is once again where it looks like,
yeah,
this is able to slide. This isn't Michael Phelps. This is comical. This is criminal.
Yeah.
Right. For the same substance.
Hang on to that. Hang on to that thought. Gary says your point's fair, Phil. I guess we can control it to a very, very high degree here is that we are a small country and the large majority is highly supportive of that law. Yeah. So the CIA piece, right?
Right.
All right. So let me ask. I'm going to ask Alex this. And I'm going to ask Alex this. But did she inhale? Maybe it was a gummy. So here's the deal, Alex. And I'm going to ask Alex this because Alex, he owns a marketing company.
Right.
Okay. And when I say question everything you hear, but listen to what's being said, tell me about subliminal marketing. Is it a thing, A, and does it work, B? Right?
Right.
So, in other words, we understand that subliminal marketing, I think, is a thing, A, and it works, B. Flash those things. It digs deep into your subconscious. So, we might hear something, see something, and that gets set in there. So we hear, well, you smoked pot. It was your choice. You knew it was a banned substance. Shame on you, Phil.
Right.
Well, Kent, you were, young, and you didn't put it in your body, and you didn't know it was happening. It was an accident. Good. However, what do I see? Black person, no good. White person, okay. So subliminally, again, what is the message that's being taught? That's what I'm talking about. Listen to what's being said. And Alex says, "Yep, 100%, 100%. It is a thing, and they both work. Still done all the time," he says.
Right.
Still done all the time. All right. So there's a new movie, and if you guys want to freak out, there's a new movie, a Batman movie out there.
Okay.
Right. You need to go to the end of that, or Google the end of that movie after the credits. After the credits go, there's a thing.
You're not going to spoil, are you?
There's a thing that comes on, and then there is a website that is subliminally flashed, and somebody stopped it, caught it. Google that.
Ooh.
And then go to that website. Interesting.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right? So it is done all the time. So again, shame on you, girl, for being injected. Right? Poor little girl. She had no choice.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe if she would have declined it and said, "No, I don't want that," then they would have said, "You're going to sit in jail." That's the way communist is, right? So maybe she was forced into it. We don't know. But what's being shown is, again, let's put her away. Let's put her away, and let's go Phelps, best in the world, and Shikari, best in the world, or fastest at that time. Okay, this didn't happen during, and he had to sit out or whatever, 6 races. Who knows, right? But he still was able to participate in the Olympics and win all those gold medals.
Right. Sit out.
Not so much. What's being seen? What are you being told? Yeah. Right.
Like I mean, even with it was her coach, right? So the 15-year-old Russian girl, who for some reason at 15 years old, I mean, I'm just trying to think of the responsibilities that probably you or I had at 15, Kent. At 15, I knew what was up. I knew what I shouldn't do, whatever. If they're drinking at a party, I could leave.
Oh, and if you're an Olympic athlete, you've gone through Olympic training.
We're not even in the Olympics.
Right.
Hey, it's basketball season. I'm not getting caught drinking, or I'm not drinking at this party with you guys.
No cigarettes, not even a red Solo cup.
I'm not doing none of that. I'm trying to get to Division I, blah, 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 blah. At 15, you can understand that. But what a society would say was at 15, she didn't know. She's a young girl. It was the influence of her coach. Mm-hmm. But if you're 15 and you're from Chicago and someone's giving you something of influence, a relative, an uncle, or whatever, then he knew better. He chose this. What's the difference? Why is it just so innocent girl who was given this? But if it was a 15-year-old kid, he given a blunt, the same sympathy isn't extended.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think she was in it. I mean,
but if you're hearing
the portrayal,
the portrayal is, well, her coach did it to her. She did it. No, she was only 15. But over here, oh my God, that thug at 15 chose a blunt.
Alex says there are specific trigger words and colors. One of my Google friends owns a huge marketing firm. He hires a psychologist and sociologist firm that you can hire to evaluate your messages. The thin like of the Super Bowl, the number one, and was Coinbase QR code. No words, just an essential screensaver. Right. And you know how many people probably are like, oh, I wonder what that is. Click. Right. Do exactly what I was supposed to do. All right. Think like the Super Bowl. There you go. Think like the Super Bowl. Right. So absolutely. And I think what we have to do as a person, as a human,
right.
And listen, you have to question everything you hear, but you have to listen to what's being said. It's 2 totally different things. Right.
Right.
It's like the sleight of hand for a magician. You know, how do I get the aces to come to the top all the time? They don't just magically appear. It's sleight of hand.
There's something else there,
right? But my mind goes,
whoa, he knew my card.
They made the Statue of Liberty disappear, right? Right? But in my mind, I know it didn't.
Right?
So, does David Blaine actually float?
I think he does.
I don't know. The guy's crazy. That guy is crazy. Right. So even though my heart of heart says, right, what's really being set inside my brain is white still okay, black not okay.
Right.
Right. That's what's being set into my subconscious mind.
Right.
And white acceptable, black not acceptable. And it's a tough thing for us to really go, wait, let's take a look at some things. Right. So it's like the story we talked about last week. You're running because you're guilty. No, I'm running because I'm gonna get my ass beat no matter what.
Right.
Right.
You already see me as guilty.
But what's been set back here?
Guilty.
You don't run if you're not guilty, son. Why would you run if you're not? Yeah, why would you? Guilty. White, not run.
Right.
Black, guilty. Right. So it's an interesting thing. The programming and the position of where you're at maybe in life. And there's a lot of things, like I said, I'm in my 50s going, I mean, last week I was like, you run because you get the tar beaten out.
Can't say that.
What just happened? Oh my gosh. I never knew the reason. Right? 53. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
No,
but look at how long I've been saying it. 50 years, right? The case last year was a drug abuser, not a supplier, and that's why capital punishment doesn't apply to him. Gotcha. Package was not intercepted at source, as they want to find who ordered it. So there must be a deal over there in Singapore that's going on. As a world reaching more and more automation, we want to process information faster all the time. We would much rather hear something from someone else and think it true versus doing the work ourselves. Yes. But understand that through history, what we're learning now is we're starting to say there's more to it,
right,
than what I've been told. There's more to it,
right.
So and let me give you an example, and I think I've shared it before. There's more to it. I've read the Bible. I grew up in the church. I'm a good Christian. I've read the Bible front to back, right? Just to say that I could do it.
There we go.
Right. And I have my beliefs and I have my faith. But then I took a class at Judson College, which said, here's the Bible and here's history. So here's what was going on at that time. And at no time did I ever bridge the two and go, oh, well, that makes sense then.
That this was going on.
Oh, and this person was around, right? So when the Bible was saying, Sunday school, and history is saying history, but I never put them together.
To overlap, right?
So there's more to history than what we're being taught or how we're being taught it. Right. Now, we didn't teach a lot of history in Sunday school because I wanted you to learn about Christ and God and the ethics and morals that are in the Bible. But maybe I would have done a better job by
tying two together.
Hey, look at these two, and this is why, this was written or this was thought. Right. So absolutely. He who gets the narrative out first wins. Yeah. And so true right now. Right. I mean, look at all the garbage out there on the news and everything like that. What leads. And can you get it out first? We don't even fact check or anything like that now. It's just like, get it out there.
Yeah, what's the thing though? If you hear a lie long enough, you'll start to believe it.
Right. Okay. Great point. That's all we needed to hear. Thanks, folks, for tuning in. No, great point. It takes a serious intentional effort to break those subconscious chains, and it does. And I'm not, again, we've talked about it ad nauseum here on the way Hollywood has portrayed ethnicities. Right. Sexes, even not even ethnicities, just sexes. So we've been programmed, right? Again, and through those movies, how many we know? Hell, I'm hungry all of a sudden. I gotta go get a popcorn because they're flashing popcorn, in there or whatever. You're hungry, whatever.
There's a meme that says the first black king that I saw on television was Eddie Murphy in the Michael Jackson "Remember the Time" video. Because Because Hollywood is afraid to show it anywhere else. And then we had that conversation last week that historically there's been kings in England, Britain, everywhere else, and they just don't want to show it. They'd rather make Cleopatra look like Britney Spears than they look like Halle Berry.
Right.
They don't want that image.
Right. We'll portray straight out of Compton, not straight out of Africa.
Man.
Hey, sorry about
he was from Egypt and looked like the kid from Hanson.
Right. Hey, Sal, good morning. Love when I'm at the store passing a young or lady with their bag open in their cart. They will then see me and close the purse quickly, and sometimes will even pick it up. Now, Salvador Villalobos. Right. I'll leave it there, right? And let me tell you, beautiful man, beautiful soul, incredibly talented at what he does, has a family that's just gorgeous, right? And he is not in white suburbia. Right?
He's in Texas.
He's down in Texas, down in the Dallas area.
Every time we have a conversation, good people.
So this is where it shouldn't be strange to see ethnicity. It should, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, there's Phil and he's the only white guy in the parking lot. you know?
Right.
Wait, what? You know?
I guess, I mean, like, because if you go down south, though, like down south isn't like up here, right? Like you can go to Georgia and it's mixed but like segregated, right?
Sure.
Where you'll see them, but they won't talk. Or like Pensacola, Florida, when you go in the mall in Pensacola, Florida, there's blacks and whites, but if you stop and pay attention, they're not walking together.
Sure.
You're walking with Andrew, I'm walking with Zoe.
Oh, sure.
So, I mean, you could be around it and still show those traits of
do the old head nut.
Yeah.
Just stay over there. Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that just because there's the population of it, that people are going to change their beliefs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I believe that he's going to snatch my purse, whatever, then I'm going to do so. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm like, ma'am, this is Wonder Lake. No one's stealing from you.
Right.
But it get followed or whatever else.
Hey, you know what? Go to an inner city church and go to communion. Now, this is a church of God loves everybody, right? These are good Christian folk. But at the inner city church, you're taking that purse up to communion with you. You ain't leaving it in the pew. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Nah, because like, again, my grandfather was a pastor in Atlanta, and so that Southern Baptist church, all the ladies who had hats like flower pots would leave their purse and go pay communion, come right back.
Right. How many of those flower pots were white?
No, it was all black church.
There you go.
Right, but no,
that's what I'm saying. You go into an inner city church, go to a Episcopal church.
Oh, there's like inner city, like Chicago, all black church.
Oh, okay, yeah. Right,
yeah. They're doing that.
So you know, you go into, let's say, the Catholic cathedral downtown.
Okay.
You know, and I'm coming out from here, McHenry, to because the Pope or somebody's in town.
Right.
And we go up to communion. Guess what's happening? That handbag's under my arm, like a football.
Right.
As I go up to, and this should be the most safe place in the world.
I can't say that.
It should be, right? That's God's love, right? I'm just saying. So right. So it's interesting. Chadwick, Black Panther, had an amazing presentation about a soap opera he was on that he talked about the writing and the unnecessary writing and character writing toward Black people trying to change what they were doing. Then he got fired.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but I didn't see that in the headlines either.
Of course not.
Right. Phil, Kent, this series of interviews was done almost 3 years ago. The Black Experience Japan. This will give you a perspective of Singapore from a foreign Black perspective. I'll write that down.
Okay.
Because I'll always.
What platform is that on? Is it Netflix? Is it YouTube? Yeah, check it out though. Absolutely.
The Black Experience
Japan.
All right.
Then Alex says, yet 75% of Hollywood negative light content want to preach the equality preach the equality.
What's it say? We'll get up there.
Yet the 75% of Hollywood negative light content want to then preach the equality. Aren't they a huge part of the problem?
Right. Oh yeah. Oh well, the University of Iowa. All right, they just got bounced out of the bracket, the tournament by Richmond. But again, guess what happens, right? You have the last name on the back of the jersey, the number, and then what was down at the bottom? Equality. Iowa. I found it funny. Sorry about that.
Yeah, get that out of here. Get that out of here.
It's a great message. However,
get that out of here.
All right. Regarding your Bible comment, I visited churches and the pastors preach based on their underlying. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's where they got to come from, right? Yeah. Oh yeah. That's true. The social issues the U.S. is having is actually not present here. Yeah, and I will say this: I watched a Netflix documentary or something like that. Actually, Singapore is the least. It is the least racial place in the world.
Nice.
It literally is. They're accepting. They love people. It's just people from America, African Americans from America, have moved over there because of it, and they go. It took us so long to just not look over our shoulder or understand that we are equal over here.
I feel like they talked about that in High on the Hog. It was
that might have been that might have been.
They were talking about being over here and like how it's different, and to actually feel like you don't have to be dealing with racism. I think it was. Yeah, I think it was High on the Hog where they're talking about that. Like, man, it's just so different to be accepted as a person, like a countryman, versus just the color of your skin.
Yeah. It was amazing. You're right, it was. Oh wait, you can't see the URL links. No, we can't. But I wrote it down. That's why I say Black Experience Japan. He forgot. That's all right. It's late over there. I mean, I think you're only 12 hours different now since we've moved forward. Anyway, I don't know. Yeah. It's not an excuse. It's real. But once you're aware, that's huge. Some people can't even break the cognitive dissonance to even get there. It's true.
As far as which part?
As far as reprogramming and understanding.
Yeah, I mean,
what's happening, right? Which is true. Look for the Black Experience. YouTube, got it. Will do. And under their playlist, look for Black in Singapore. All right, perfect. That video is from that series. See, okay, good. All right, so we're not crazy. Thank you very much. Well, maybe. Of course, you're listening to 21.6 Net. This is Bridging Civil Tension, and we truly live in that type of a world. Right. And of course, Bridging Civil Tension being brought to you through the financial support of Restoration One, water, fire, mold remediation, 847-264-4664.
But so how do we fix that, right? Because if every time you see a Shikari with a drug, you think, criminal, that's bad, blah blah blah, and every time you see the little Russian girl or someone who looks like her, it's innocent, she didn't know better, and so it starts to get programmed. This is bad. This is excusable. And so if you have your mind made up that I'm argumentative, how do I get you to be like, no, maybe that's not the case? How do you get someone to think of this could be just as bad as this? How do you get it so that they stop hearing this voice and think angry black man or like this, that, and a third, and have just as much compassion over here as we have over there?
I think that how to do that, my opinion, strictly my opinion, is we have to practice mindfulness, right? I have to just stop and go, why do I feel scared? They've done nothing to me. I've never been mugged. I've never been raped. Now, if you have that situation, you got a whole different set of rules to play by.
Kind of, but even when I said when I said I've had 11 police officers, and coincidentally all white, pull guns on me. I don't think that most people who have a fear of black people have been robbed by 11 black individuals.
No.
And yet I'm still not allowed to have a fear of yet. Well, there's this black guy who cut me off on 90. Now I don't like black people. Or I saw on TV from a distance that someone robbed one. And now you're allowed to have a fear, but the person who has multiple experiences is not. So I don't even necessarily say if one experience is justified because I'm told it's not.
Well, again, we go back to the programming piece. case, right?
Right.
Question what you hear, but listen to what's being said. But listen to what's being said, right?
If it's from Country Donuts and Chris Lake, it might work, but I'm not brave enough to roll the dice on a Boston cream.
Yeah. So is there a way for a casual communication with yourself when you're not live? An email, perhaps. Yep. I'll reach out to you through Messenger, and then we'll set it up. We can even do a call. I don't care. I can do a Zoom call or something with you, Gary. Would love to. Absolutely love to. Give them donuts first, Phil.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know,
over at Bear Claw.
Krispy Kreme.
Exactly what you're doing. Changing one person's subconscious one at a time, like you are with Kent and me. I see. It takes time, patience, and intention.
Right. Okay, but for instance, like let's say that you're saying that I'm changing your subconscious, right? And then Kent's I'm changing his subconscious, right? There's still people who they have their mind made up that I am a certain way, that I'm argumentative, that I'm the victim, that I'm this, that, and the third. And so if you had, like, let's say me and you, if you have your mind made up, Jessica, that every time I talk to you, I'm trying to be argumentative, it doesn't matter what I say. You're going to take it as argumentative. No matter what I say, some people are going to say that I'm playing the victim. It's the same message that other people are telling me is changing subconsciousness and everything like that. But some people are going to take it as argumentative, even though it's not, even though it's to help you. And then another person be like, oh my God, great job.
Yeah. Or Gary, there you go. Just shoot me an email at kent@216thenet.com. That might be the easiest way. Thanks,
Uncle Pete.
Thanks, Uncle Pete. I leave him up there just because it's always fun to hear from him.
I wasn't ready for that, man.
It's always good to hear from him.
That's wild,
yeah, it's just a good way
to do.
Yep. What does he say here? Zoom, StreamYard, Skype, WhatsApp. No worries. Unless you want me to fly over, then we can have a green.
Bring the food from Singapore because I heard it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to, I don't think I have the budget to fly you. I'll just send the private jet.
I have the secretary send the jet.
Yeah. That's it. So how, I think you have to be aware of it before before you can fix it, before you can heal, you have to be aware of it, right? Acknowledgement is the first step in any 12-step recovery, right? First, I've got a problem. Right. I think that we're doing things socially, publicly, and anytime that there's change, anytime that you're trying to move the dial as much as we're trying to move it in society, there's going to be a lot of pushback. There's going to be a lot of, oh, hey, wait. Let me use an example. At work, we're bringing in a new loan operation system. So we're bringing in new software into the platform. One gentleman that works there has used the platform that we're getting rid of for nearly 40 years. Okay. Now, in the 1980s, it was a wonderful platform.
Right.
And it just has never really been a good end user. It's very cumbersome and whatnot. And so when I came in, I was like, this is horrible. We need to change this.
Right.
And the platform we were using is the absolute cheapest out there on the market, which then I said, you have to understand, you're getting what you pay for. You were looking at this from a financial standpoint, not an end user standpoint. Right. So this gentleman is very, very upset and very, very uncomfortable because we're going to be making changes.
Right.
It's not what he knows. It's not what he's been taught. It's not how he's lived his whole life.
And this is comfortable.
Right?
But no change happens in the comfort zone, right?
Correct. So now we have to go, okay, but wait a minute. Right?
Over here, where it's not comfortable, is actually better for you.
Correct.
Right.
And we don't look at how nice it is over here because we're stuck in our comfort zone. Right? And we've heard time and time again, life happens just on the outside of your fear.
Right.
Success happens just on the other side of your fear.
Right.
Right. So there comes a point where we say, I mean, there came a point, and understand what I'm saying. There came a point where we go, we've been treating women pretty poorly. They can have jobs. They can be successful.
Right.
And that was very uncomfortable for a lot of people. I mean, look at, if you were, watch Mad Men. That's the way the world was.
Right.
Right. And that was it. But we'll go, that was so weird back then. Well, watch Roots. That's the way the world was. And we'll just go, yeah, it's part of history. Right?
Right.
So how do you, and that's uncomfortable to make that move for people. And we're going to, as long as you deal with people, you're going to deal with different ideologies. You're going to work with different, mental space.
Right.
And it just doesn't matter. All of a sudden, we've got an African-American president, and somebody in the hills of West Virginia, we absolutely love you. I'm just using this as an example. Woke up and goes, what the hell's going on here? I just come into town for a gallon of milk. The world's coming to an end, right? The goat stopped milking, I guess. I don't know, right? Yeah, Pete's in the house. He is. Uncle Pete, always here. Then you move to the people that want to understand and keep planting seeds. Yes, right? And the more we water, the more we grow, the more we talk about it, the more we accept it as, this has been a bad thing for a long, long time.
Right.
Yeah. There's a resistance, which always, right? The order only constant is change. Oh, in the world, maybe the only constant is change. Right? And that's very uncomfortable for people. Keep being persistent, Jessica says. Keep your eyes on your focus. Keep planting seeds. Believe in what you're doing, and you will be successful in your mission. Love and tolerance is our code. They may realize years after your interaction. Right.
So then, so we're talking about, let's say, like the media side of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously there's a learning curve for anything. And cool, you can have grace for a learning curve if change is trying to happen, right? Change is trying to happen.
Correct.
You caught yourself last week, but change is trying to happen. I think my frustration sometimes gets where, is the media really trying to change, or is it using convenient words, appeasing words, right? I can be trying to get help for something, but am I going to talk to a therapist about it? No, if I haven't done that work. I can be trying to lose weight, but until I go to the gym, am I really trying?
Right. But here's what happens as well, Phil. Our listeners out there, hundreds of thousands of listeners out there, will say, Phil, quit playing the victim.
Right.
You have more success than most of our listeners. You have best-selling books. You own a clothing line. You help people increase their lot in life through financial. You're your own boss. You're now helping a company. Increase this. You are more successful than perhaps 70% of the listeners out there. Quit playing the victim.
So look, let's say that me and you were walking.
Mm-hmm.
If we're looking out from the front of the building,
mm-hmm.
we're walking that way.
Yeah.
And the whole time you're praising my accomplishment walking that way. We're walking to that city.
Yeah.
And then someone yells profanity.
Mm-hmm.
Does that take away that despite what happened, this is still reality? Because what it seems like is people are like, oh, because this happened, you still can't get called that.
Yeah.
Because this happened, you can't get followed.
So here's the deal, right? And here's a story. I was talking with my brother, right? My brother is very successful.
The one who did the thing
he's
in
a
Milwaukee.
Bishop.
Yeah.
He's a bishop, right? In the church. And they're going through some
Alex.
They're going through some things in the church to help out. What's this say?
So my mom says still black.
Hey, there you go.
And then
the media changes with the wind of their base. Yeah, exactly.
So black man. So then Alex says Phil can have all of that, but he still has to keep his hands at 10 at 2. And that's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's walking. He shouldn't do that.
I would.
Right.
Free.
Right. So here's the deal. And here's what I want. Again, question everything you hear, but listen to what's being said. So
Thank you,
my brother,
Alex. Thank you, Alex.
my brother, again, not a black man.
Right.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, got the last name Jones. It's as close as we can get.
Man.
All right. So my brother driving down the highway, he puts on a lot of miles in his job. Driving down the highway, sees a young guy pull up in a Mercedes, just flying. Beautiful car, right? And it's a white kid. Okay. And what goes through your mind when that happens? Oh, your dad must be successful. I wonder if he knows you have his car out.
Right.
Right? That's what you say. He goes, now this comes from my brother. This is just an example. And I would say that my family, we're not racist, right?
Right.
However,
you gotta show up at the barbecue.
However, same road, same car, young black man. And it isn't, oh, your dad must be successful. Oh, you're selling drugs. Hope you don't get pulled over because they'll find all those drugs. Same person driving the car, my brother. He's a pastor, loves people, helps people. But that's the thought that goes through his mind. He's not alone.
Right.
He's not alone.
Right.
Because I know there's thousands of our listeners out there who say the same thing. Or just put brown person in there. Put a young Latino in that car. It isn't, wow, you must really be successful.
And it's pre-programmed. I told you we're
right.
Island Lake. How did you get such a nice car? How can you afford this? My Altima?
Yeah. It's an Altima.
It's an Altima.
And it's got factory rims.
Right. And I was talking to a classmate. Her name is Sarah. I love Sarah to death. But I was talking to Sarah and she's like, what about this car? I was like, nah, I still live where I live. I can't.
Would love to.
J. Cole talked about he had a range and it was getting pulled over so in question so much in his range. I got a Toyota. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Well, JR.
But like,
right. You know,
but how is it's hard work for someone else or their family's well to do, but it's all of a sudden drugs.
So here the perception again is what have we been programmed? The perception again is this. Huh, your dad must have made a lot of money. I wonder if he knows you have the Mercedes out.
Right.
To you must be a drug dealer.
I mean,
if
we're gonna be honest,
my thought doesn't go like this. That young black man in that Mercedes zipping by me, he must be a wizard on the computer and has made his money on the internet.
Nah, we're not going to do that. But in all honesty, out here, that kid's in the Mercedes was like, oh, Billy must be the supplier to the drugs at Marion Central. But we won't do that as fast as we'll do for the black kid.
So Jessica says, but who are you to judge or know what they are trying to do? If they are using appeasing words or being real, that's not your part. I'm not. I must have read that late because I'm not picking up.
I think like when I was talking about like the weight room thing, right? I mean, I guess just for myself, like I know whether I went to the weight room or not. I know. So if I tell Ken I'm trying to lose weight, next Friday comes, he's like, well, "Did you bike? No. Did you work out? No. Did you?"
Right.
Then just the honesty of that situation was I wasn't doing the work to do so.
Yeah.
And we've seen the results of when we do put in the work and how fast that is.
Yeah. And I will tell you, I field a lot of emails.
Right.
Because I irritate a lot of people.
What?
Because through this process, I've grown, right? And I'm not afraid to, because it's a great show. I'm not afraid to say, here's the thought that was going through my head. It was just like my example with my brother.
Right.
He's 58. And this first time, through 3 weeks ago when he was here, this is the first time we've ever talked about anything like this. I'm 53, he's 58. How did it take this many years? He's known me my whole life. He's my older brother.
Right.
How did it take us this many years to go, you know what? Something's wrong.
I mean, we kind of had that conversation last week, though. There's times where people don't want to address those types of topics.
Yeah, so Gary says the closest thing we come to that sort of thinking over here is, only speaks English.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's probably an expletive in front of that American. See that? God, yes, Guy, absolutely love her. She's just agreeing with me today. It's great. The Deeker is a trust fund baby with red shoes. Listen, I wish I was. I wish I got the red shoes. Don't kid yourself, right? I got the boots on today, though. I got the old kickers. I got the old kickers on today, just because I didn't want to tie shoes, so I was like, I'll put my boots on.
Yeah, I didn't want to tie shoes.
That's right. I can't go. I have to have some sort of semblance of a dress shoe in the bank.
Right.
So this is what kind of world we live in, and I know we're on the back end of this. Pray for Brittany. We don't know where she's at, or maybe we do, but what's out there now. Hopefully we send in, a special ops team to get her out of there. We should have, if we didn't already. That should be more important than voting on daylight savings time, and if that should be, kept or whatever.
Right.
And always, when it comes to anything in life, always question what you hear, but listen to what's being said. And if you go back and rewind your life in the last 10 years, really take a look at, question what you've heard.
Right.
But pay attention and listen to what's being said. And I think that we'll all start going, oh, interesting.
All right. I will use today's example, and we're all family and it's friendly. But if you watch the comments about like how it was just the Winter Olympics and no one watches, or it's just this or her coach, watch when we'll justify.
Right.
Watch when we'll condemn.
Right. And again, that's that piece of program.
Watch when we'll say, it's just the Winter Olympics, so no one watches.
Why do I feel the need to justify? Why can't I just go?
Right. Ooh. Am I just as lenient when the person doesn't look like
that? Makes me uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable. All right, for all of us here at 21.6 Net, glad we got the microphones working again. Thank you, everybody who's jumped on and given us, your feedback. Gary, we'll look forward to connecting with you and chatting offline.
Absolutely.
Appreciate everybody. Come back at 1 for the Neighborhood Pulse. Absolutely love you all. Remember to be good, but more importantly, be good to each other.
Love you guys.